Good afternoon, Michigan DECA. Welcome back to What's New in the Blue. I'm your state president, Ryan Carinanto, here to give you guys the inside scoop on all things DECA. Happy late Thanksgiving. I hope you all enjoyed your holiday and your Black Friday shopping. Hello to all of our listeners on Spotify and YouTube, and a special welcome to all of you tuning live from Zoom. We've got a great episode coming at you, so let's jump right in. Today's episode is all about preparing you for your district conference, and we have a very special guest to help us break it all down. Please welcome Michigan DECA's own Director of Competitive Events, Marshall Conley. How's it going, Marshall?
Hi, Ryan. I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. Always super excited to talk to our members, especially with competition season right at our doorstep. Um, this is a high energy time of year. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, me too, me too. I mean, let's just start with the basics. For anyone new to DECA or competing for the first time, what exactly is the district conference?
That's a great question, Ryan. Um, the district competitions are where it all begins. It is the first step in DECA's competitive event process. Members from different schools in your district come together to compete in the categories of principals, series, TDMs, and professional selling and consulting. The goal is to showcase your skills, whether that's problem solving, public speaking, or just demonstrating your business knowledge. Perform well, and you could qualify for the State Career Development Conference.
That's awesome. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be wondering where their district conference is being held this year. Would you mind going through the dates and locations?
I would love to. District 1, you are headed to Saginaw Valley State University, home of the Cardinals. District 2, you are headed to Grand Valley State University, that's Laker Nation. District 3, headed to where the Broncos run, Western Michigan University. And District 4, 5, and our new district, District 9, are coming right here to Eastern Michigan University. 6, you are headed to Berkeley High School this Saturday. Lake Orion, I'm sorry, District 7, you are headed to Lake Orion. And District 8, you are headed to Wayne County Community College, the Taylor campus.
Now, I know you just said District 9, and I do want to highlight that. I mean, adding a ninth district is huge. I hope to see all of you guys at as many district conferences as possible this year. But back to the questions. Another question that comes to my mind right away is what can our members expect when they arrive?
Sure. So arrival, first thing when you arrive, you'll find the location of the opening session. At least you'll want to find the location of the opening session. That's where the day will begin. There, you'll want to hang out, let your advisor check in your chapter, which is super important because they'll get your conference program, which is where you'll find your event location. And then there's an opening session where we'll hype everyone up, go over some housekeeping, the details of the day.
And I mean, let's
And
talk the whole room, the panic room for some people. What can you tell members to expect here?
Yeah, well, you're not wrong. This is often a room filled with a little bit of panic, a little bit of anxiety, um, but it doesn't have to be that way, and it really shouldn't. After checking in and confirming you're in the right room, you'll be moved into holding, and that's how you get there. If you're not on the roster for that event, come down to the conference HQ, and we'll point you in the right direction.
Yeah, yeah. And remember, once you're in the holding room, understand that you're just waiting for your prep time. There's no pressure here. This is a chance for you to lock in, get your mind right. But it's also a second opportunity to make sure your phone is off so you can avoid that 20-point penalty. Then after that, Marshall, you'd be called to prep, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, this part's pretty straightforward. You sit down, and in front of you will be the scenario for your role play and a stack of blank scrap paper. If you're in a series event or an individual event, rather, if you're in an individual event, you have 10 minutes to prepare. Team events get 15 minutes to prepare your pitch and any visual aids that you can create using that scrap paper. Make sure you bring your own pen. If you hadn't put your phone in at least do not disturb by this time, as you said, and it goes off at this point, you're getting that 20-point penalty.
Yeah, and I mean, all that's left is to compete now, right?
Well, awards, of course, but this is the last thing between standing between our members and their lunch for sure.
Well, before we get into lunch, what are your top tips for competitors to make sure they get the most out of their experience?
Yeah. So, I'd always say preparation is key, but at this point, confidence is going to be your most effective tool. And confidence at this point isn't going to come in the form of the learned material. So familiarity is the route I would take. Here's a few things to keep in mind. Review your event guidelines so there's no surprises. Um, before you get there. Another thing I'd recommend using the vocab flashcards on DECA Plus. It's a really great way to develop out your vernacular. Understanding the vocabulary that is used in that specific industry is going to help you sound like a little bit more of an authority. Um, uh, just a little more like you know what you're talking about. And that's all. That's going to go a long way with a judge. The other thing, this is going to be weird. It's going to sound a little weird, but I would continue doing practice tests. And the reason I say that's going to sound weird, um, you, our members are testing right now. They're taking their district testing right now, or they've already completed it. So it doesn't make much sense to do a practice test. Again, I really think it's about that language. It's about understanding concepts. You're not testing or taking a practice test to develop out your test score as much as you are to develop out the arsenal that you have to pull from when you get to that role play. Um, Once you get to that role play, as Emily Jacobs would say, hit that GNAP, that greeting, name, affiliation, and the purpose for being there. That's going to start your whole pitch out on the right foot. I definitely practice that GNAP, and for affiliation and purpose, just come up with different things. Just come up with different things. Look at some of the sample role plays and just come up with your what that GNAP would be for that scenario. That way, when you get this scenario, you already kind of know how you're going to slot things in. Um, the other thing I would practice a little bit is your posture. Get in front of one of those full-size mirrors, put your chair down, and just make sure you got a good, square, confident posture, and eye contact. I don't know how you're going to practice that one, but you're going to want to make sure that you have good eye contact. A common mistake in role playing is uh, people will often ramble, particularly about concepts that don't necessarily benefit their score. It's great to be innovative, but if your innovation doesn't necessarily play into one of the performance indicators, it's not helping your evaluation or your overall scores. So you want to avoid wasting time on concepts that don't don't add up on that rubric and avoid using filler words like of course. One of the most important things, though, is understanding that the role play is not over until you leave the room. Maintain that composure and that professionalism until you walk out the door. Don't just walk away from your booth and jump up and hit a heel click because you're so happy you did so well. Um, just leave and then hit your heel click when you walk out the door. But finally, don't forget to relax, have fun, and learn. DECA is not all about competition. Even if you don't place, it's about growth and preparing for the next level.
Yeah, I mean, I hope you guys are taking notes because that was a lot of great tips. Thank you for that, Marshall. I'd also encourage members to go back and listen to episode 10 of our podcast. If you want advice about throwing the football, you talk to Tom Brady, right? Well, we talked to former state president Nish Palepu, who placed twice in the top three at ICDC, who can definitely help you find the missing piece that you're looking for in your competition strategy. After the competition wraps up, what can members look forward to, Marshall?
The award session, the award session is always a highlight. Um, that's where we recognize the top performers and announce who's moving on to the state competition. And even if you don't place, stick around. It's inspiring to see everyone's emotions running high, as their work is celebrated. And before the award ceremony, we will have like a district council meeting and a running for state council meeting. Um, to just kind of learn about more leadership opportunities available to you. Um, and we'll we'll go over those specifics at the opening session. So you want to kind of listen for at the end of the opening session to know where those are going to be taking place and when.
Yeah, for sure. Before we wrap up, I'd like to talk dress code. Is there anything you want to cover before I go into that?
Um, yeah, let's just hit these points one more time. Prohibited items. We said it once, we said it twice. I'm going to say it a third time. Cell phones. This is the easiest way to get a penalty point, to get penalty pointed, and it's the easiest one to avoid. Just turn it on Do Not Disturb as soon as you get there. Turn it off, and that goes for any smartwatches, iPads, iPods. I don't know if anyone has iPods anymore. Calculators, AI wearables, any of that is not allowed in the competition rooms. So leave it behind or turn it off. The other thing is, and I think we hit this once before, but scratch paper. New this year is a limit on that. So in individual events, you're limited to six, and in team events, you're limited to eight. Um, Now, black and blue pens, bring your own. We try to provide writing utensils, but sometimes they get picked up and taken with them to competition. So, you sit down to the prep table and you realize you don't have a pen. Timer's already started. You're running out of time. You need to bring one with you. And lastly, most importantly, discussion of event materials during or after competition is absolutely prohibited. So please just save those conversations for the bus ride home.
Sounds good. Real quick about dress code. Our district competitions, like all of our competitive conferences, require business professional attire. That means button-up shirts, blouses or business dresses, slacks, and dress shoes, they're all required. Neckties or scarves, they must be worn if you're wearing a shirt with a collar. Blazers are optional, but for this conference, but they're always encouraged. So when you look good, you feel confident, and that confidence is going to come in handy when you're sitting at that prep table. Anything you want to add, Art Marshall?
Just real quick, if you're wearing a dress or a skirt, let's keep it at below the knee. If your shirt or blouse doesn't have shoulders, please wear a sweater, blazer, some kind of jacket over top. And fellas, uh, how do I say this? No boat shoes. Yeah, we got that on the graphic. No boat shoes. I love my Sperry's as much as the next guy. But at best, you're out of season. You're out of season. Got to put those boat shoes away and get some boots out or something.
Ouch, harsh truth there on that, on the Sperry's. But any final comments you have on district competition, Marshall?
Oh, districts are where you truly step into the world of DECA. It's your first competitive conference of the year. Um, it's your chance to challenge yourself, meet members from other chapters, get a taste of what's possible. The skills you develop here, like critical thinking, teamwork, public speaking, they'll stick with you long after this conference ends. And remember that every great journey starts with a single step, and districts are your first step towards achieving something amazing. Give it your all, and most importantly, enjoy the ride.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. Anyways, thank you for joining us today, Marshall. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in to What's New in the Blue. Get ready to crush it at districts. I know you guys are all going to do spectacular. And remember to be the one. I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.
Best of luck to everyone. We'll see you there.